Hey, what's going on everyone? Today I'll be doing a review of the Travel Pro Maxlite 5, specifically the domestic carry-on version. If you're interested in purchasing the international or one of the larger versions of this bag, many of the same features will apply to those models as well. If you're wondering why the Maxlite 4 looks so beat up, that's because it's from a test video I did comparing it to the Delcy Helium Aero. I'll include a link to that video if you want to check that out. If you plan on purchasing this bag online, I highly encourage you to expand the description or the top pinned comment below so you have a breakdown of where you can purchase the bag along with a table of contents for this video. If you go browsing on Amazon, everything starts looking the same and it can get confusing real fast. So I went ahead and compiled the specific links for every one of the bags mentioned in this video and numbered them according to when or where they're mentioned. Just look in the bottom right hand corner for this symbol for when a bag or product is mentioned, and you'll find that specific one listed below. Lastly, before we jump in, this video isn't sponsored in any way by any company. I purchased both of these bags with my own money, and the only thing I receive is a small commission through Amazon's affiliate program if you use one of the links in the description. It doesn't cost you a penny, and it really helps me out as this money goes to paying for these bags, the lighting I'm using here in my kitchen, editing software, my time, and everything else that goes into making these videos. Anyways, let's jump into it. One of the biggest, well, two of the biggest concerns people have when buying a new carry-on is, will it fit everything I want to bring, and will it fit in the overhead compartment? I know for a fact it will fit in the overhead compartment, and you won't have any trouble getting it on the plane. The measurements for both are exactly the same at 10 inches by 14.25 by 22.5 inches. I've never had or heard of anyone having a problem traveling with the 4, so the 5 should be good as well. At most, you may have to valet it on smaller planes, but this is a common practice and everyone with a bag that has wheels will have to do this. This isn't a big deal and won't cost you anything. As for fitting everything you want to bring, well, that depends on how you normally pack. Personally, I can fit about 3 to 5 days worth of clothes in either of these. And I've pulled this packing video from the Maxlite 4 versus Delcy video I did a while back, and since the 4 and the 5 are the same size, it's applicable to either. The material used around the bag is a polyester fabric with a DuraGuard coating that resists stains and water. DuraGuard is a coating that is typically applied as an enamel to protect garage floors, wood, metal, concrete, etc. Although to a lesser degree, this technology has been applied to the fabric used in Travel Pro bags. While it may not protect your bag from a car running over it, it will be protected against coffee, rain, and other things that could stain it or its contents. Bags that have a traditionally rectangular shape can tip over if they're too heavy in the front. Whenever I've used the Delcy Helium Aero, I know this happens since I would travel with my heavy 17-inch laptop packed in the front. I'd have to be careful and make sure it was leaned up against something so it wouldn't fall over. The design of the Travel Pro helps prevent this. Since it's angled to be smaller at the top and larger at the bottom, it's less likely to tip over since it has a lower center of gravity. Earlier this year, I finally upgraded to TSA PreCheck, so I don't have to worry about this issue anymore. But on one of my first trips for work, I was going through security, had to empty my pockets and put my boarding pass, phone, wallet, that kind of thing, somewhere in one of those dog food bowls at security. Long story short, security was busy, I was trying to move quickly and was a quarter mile away from security before I realized I didn't have my boarding pass. I scrambled back to find that luckily one of the TSA officers in St. Louis had found it and set it aside. This little incident could have been prevented if I had stuffed it in my carry-on, but I didn't want to do that because I was still using my older bag that only had one big compartment. Now I don't have to worry about that with PreCheck, but if you don't have TSA PreCheck, the Maxlite 4 and 5 have small zippered compartments on the front that are perfect for your phone or other pocket items that might be overlooked or forgotten when you're going through security. The main feature Travel Pro is pushing on this bag is the half-pound lighter it is from the previous Maxlite 4. Is it significant? Maybe, but not for me. Let's get into some of the bigger differences between the 4 and the 5. I'm going to break down the differences between the Maxlite 4 and 5 into two separate categories. Those that deal with the functional use of the bag and those that deal with only the cosmetic differences. In regards to function, there are about 6 notable differences dealing with weight, zipper size, the telescoping handle, front pocket, and other handles, and the base of the bag. Starting with the weight. I've already mentioned it's a half-pound lighter from the previous iteration. This makes the total weight of the Maxlite 5 5.6 pounds based on my measurements and the Maxlite 4 6 pounds even. Close to half a pound difference, but not quite. Next, the zippers have been downgraded to a smaller size. This is a very noticeable difference in the size and feel between the main compartment zipper of the 4 and 5. The 5 looks as if it has been downgraded to the size of the rest lesser important zippers. Not a good sign, and looks as if Travel Pro is trying to cut costs here. Smaller zippers equal less durability and less strength. The telescoping handle grip is slightly different. It appears smaller and more compact with the rest of the bag, which I like. The front pocket on the 5 has been placed in a more easily reached spot and appears to be a bit deeper in size too. The handles along the outside of the bag have changed slightly. The top handle's anchors are now held under an additional layer of fabric while still held in place by 2 screws. The Maxlite 4 only had the 2 screws and some stitching. The orientation probably won't matter a whole lot, but if your carry-on is placed lengthwise in the overhead, it's easier to pull out with the handle on the 4 versus the handle on the 5. Good luck finding a flight where you have this much space though. The handle on the bottom of the bag has been removed and replaced with a flap of fabric. I hate this. This doesn't apply to airlines as much as it does taxis, hotel carts, etc. But if I'm unloading the bag out of the trunk of a car, that handle makes a big difference in the ease of pulling it out. The problem is now there's a less durable piece of fabric to grab onto versus the molded plastic handle. So I'm going through getting some more shots, and before I go on to the cosmetic differences, I want to point out another thing I noticed that I hadn't originally planned for and kind of overlooked, but that would be the buckles or luggage straps. If you take a look at them in here, you can see the new ones are significantly smaller and have, I guess, like less of the clipping part of it in there versus the old one, which has like 3 points of contact, maybe 4. And I guess that was just another way to cut down on costs on it. I don't know how that'll affect durability in the long run, but it certainly feels and looks less durable. But just another thing I wanted to point out. Now here's the cosmetic differences. Cosmetically speaking, the interior fabric has some new designs which make them a little bit more attractive, and the wheels have a larger logo on them than before. Other models in this series include the soft tote, basically a duffel bag, the rolling underseat carry-on, the 22-inch Rollaboard version, the 26-inch spinner, and the 29-inch spinner. There are a few slight differences between the carry-on and checked models, but they're relatively the same, ignoring the size. For some, the Rollaboard model might be preferred since it offers a little bit more space and has 2 larger inline wheels in the back versus the 4 360-degree spinner wheels on the model shown here. The wheels on the Rollaboard will likely last longer since they only move in 2 directions, forward and back, and there's a less chance of having a broken wheel, 4 versus 2. Is the 5 really better than the 4? I hate to say it, but I don't think so. It's roughly the same price, both around $100 as of making this video, and not with any significant upgrades. Is a half pound of weight really worth smaller zippers and less handles? Probably not. With this being said, don't get the idea Travel Pro is a bad brand or the Maxlite 5 is crap. Both the 4 and the 5 are still much better than 95% of the options available on Amazon or in store, in my opinion. The only other competitors in this price range really are Delsey or Samsonite. The only other 2 brands I would consider would be Chester or Away. I've included links to the additional videos I've created on those bags, plus a durability test on the Delsey and the Travel Pro 4, as I mentioned earlier. And if you're going to choose between the Maxlite 4 and 5, go with the 4. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. I appreciate the support I've received from viewers like yourself. Check out the links below to view the product pages for everything mentioned today. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the like button below, leave a comment telling me your best or worst travel experience and what made it that way. By the way, if you will be traveling frequently or even just 2 or more times a year, consider getting the American Express Platinum card. I'll be doing a breakdown of the card, its benefits, and how you can take full advantage of everything it has to offer, and then some. Please consider subscribing to my channel by clicking the button below or my face that should appear here at the end of this video to get notified when that video goes live and when I publish new travel tips, reviews, and more. As always, thanks for watching.